All right, here we go. Get this thing squared away. And cue loop. All right, here we go. The mighty change, 1 to 4. Let's see what we got. Ah! 1 minute into my thing and already lost my little microphone-y thing. All right, well, here we go. That's what happens when I talk instead of play. That said, let's take a second here, take a little peekaboo, and see if anybody's tuning in to what's going on here. I don't know what's going on with that. View channel. Hey, there's me. Let's see what's going down. Hey. Snacking. Okay, yes, that's true. If this is a loop, it's pretty spiffy. Get it, dog. Smoking, and that was loopy. So yeah, so what we've got here is, this is the loop right here. It's just bass and a guitar, right? There's a couple of little punch-ins in there. There's like this little lick. This little pretty subtle little things just to give it some texture. But the basis of the whole thing is relatively simple, and that's what we're here to discuss today. I just try to make things fun because, generally speaking, it's more engaging when things are fun rather than just a dry, like if we're playing over C and we're going down to F, 2, 3, playing the 1 chord and going up to the 4 chord, up to the 1 chord. But that's what we're doing, all right? The almighty 1 to 4, all right? Very, very straight ahead littles. You're all feeling all right. You're all kinds of white boy funk, okay? Okay, a lot of that shit, all right? Very fun stuff to do, but that said, it does take some teaching or some learning there. So, buckle up, and we're going to talk a little bit about how to do this kind of thing, all right? It's not that difficult once you recognize a couple of simple things. One, we can think about it from 2 pretty distinct perspectives. Let's talk about what I think of as probably the easiest one for most folks to grapple with, and that's just rocking up and down the 1 chord, which in this case is, sorry, let's get this camera down a little bit more. The 1 chord is this, we're playing over a C, and more to the point, a C dominant 7, okay? So this is like this kind of sound, right? So this right there enables us to access a couple of different tonalities, one of which is, and we're going to talk about it, is the minor pentatonic, all right? So that's, all right, and of course we can add our friends the flat 5, to it, and end up with a slightly bluesier sound, sometimes and annoyingly referred to as the blues scale, as if there was something just directly, oh, play this and you're immediately playing blues. Well, in this instance, you know, it is apt though. Okay, so over top of my little loop, if I go, that's not too bad, right? So that's just, okay, but it's that last note that's important, right? Normally that 4 is not one that we would resolve to if we were just playing over a 1 chord jam. Boom, bum, bum, boom, 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 bum, boom, boom, boom. We would not find ourselves going over top of that in our bass, okay? So what I want you to do is think about the notes that are in this F7 chord, which is the 2nd chord in the sequence. All right, we're basically playing over the C chord until we go here. Please play. Come on, loopy. Right there. And there, right? That's the whole loop. You've heard all the music I made to solo over top of. All right, everything else was just me kind of interpreting that thematically and just kind of fucking around. I thought there were actually a couple of little moments in there where I kind of got off, so it was kind of fun. That doesn't always happen when I'm doing this kind of thing. But we're sitting here kind of focusing on where we land. And so when we look at an F7 chord, right, I want you to think about like the F7. So that's going to be F, it's third, it's fifth, it's flat seventh, a little less so. Okay, so those four are really the big boys. Okay, and frankly, the real two winners are going to be the third of the F and the F itself. So one could effectively think of playing something like this. And I'm just kind of riffing out between just kind of riffing around in there. All right, that's all I'm thinking the whole time I'm playing. It's just that I bring that around with me to other places. I change what note this resolution note is between that and between this. Right, so you'll hear that that's playing basically off of the, and then when we go to the F chord, playing into its third, the major third. Now, does that mean that we can bend up into that third, right? Okay, and that's really all I'm thinking, is just trying to grab that. Oh, somebody says nice tone. I'm a little, I'm trying to figure out how to get this Ibanez to sound more like some of my more classic guitars, but it just won't do it. I don't mind it necessarily. It's just not really the sound I grew up for the last 25 years dealing with. And it's really just these pickups, in particular the bridge, which I think I was on. It's really, really a bright, brash. And then the middle pickup, that's this one. It's kind of a Goldilocks position in a lot of ways, but it still doesn't have quite the woofy thud of the 335's neck pickup or the skinny sharpness of the Strat's bridge. But there's something in here. I don't know what it is yet. It reminds me a little bit of Jerry mixed with like Billy Gibbons. What I'm doing here, so I don't know what to say. It's a kind of a freak show here. But I agree. Feels like dancing. I think that's the loop. The loop has the the downward sound going on. That kind of. So I think what that comment is in reference to is the sound of Dance in the Streets is the inverse of the envelope filter. Rather than hearing your where it goes wah, right? Rather than going wah, it goes down and goes ow. And then opens up over time. So if I ditch the overdrive, which is generally not the hero of this kind of sound, and end up with the all right. Then there's one more secret button on there that really helps give it the super funk. Thickening up funk tones not really the thing. So on the top there, there's a button that says the range that we're affecting is the low or the high. If you shift it to the high, you get that real 70s funk. Kind of sweet. All right, and then if we, you know, you could be doing that with a Strat or something else, but. Right, you get that kind of, what is that? Anyway, interesting sound. That's what I think is going on inside the loop that makes people like that sound. All right, so back to, sorry for the digression, folks. But if we look at the guitar tone, right, we're going basically from the flat 7, and then down into this, okay, so flat 7 of the 1 into this 3rd of the 4 chord. That sounds nice. You can take the 3rd, the major 3rd, and go, that sounds kind of cool. So I'm kind of relying on a lot of these same little tricks just all over the place, looking at the same little tricks. And this is one of the first little progressions that I used to jam out with my buddy. We would get together and set up 2 little rigs and usually sit around in a very dimly lit room and play guitar all night. You know, maybe I'd be at his dorm room in college, or he would come to my house during, you know, we were friends since I was probably a sophomore or junior in high school, and he was a sophomore or a freshman in high school, I can't remember. And he had a really great cat. He had such great rhythm. He was a dynamite musician. He still is a fantastic fucking player. And he's the first guy that really explained to me like what I was doing wrong. Like I just did not understand how any of the stuff worked. I didn't understand how we were playing a C major chord and playing minor over top of it. And I didn't understand the idea about adding the major 3rd to that minor scale, going and going into the 3rd of the next chord, and how powerful that sound is. Okay, so we can hear that happening here. It might be faster, but okay, that's playing into the 3rd of the 1, but there it is again. So there's the 3rd there, there, root. So these and these. are your big notes that you want to try to resolve to. So that's the root and the third of the 4 chord, right? So if you got to just do what I've been lately referring to as the grouper, which is where you just kind of sit at the bottom of the ocean and you wait for the little fish that you're interested in to swim right past you, and then you go and just gobble them up, okay? Just go, you know, boom, ba, dum, dum, and play into the third of the 4 chord and just get a feel for that, right? There it is again. Okay, now those two are really big, all right? Last but not least, we can think about the flat 7 over top of the 4 chord. So it's flat 7, meaning that note. Okay, so over top of, you'll see where this wants to pull back to, right? If we're playing the C major chord, and then we pull into there, it's going to want to come up, and you're going to hear that note, right? Over top of the C, back, right? And this is one of the things that Brian, the guy I was talking about earlier, taught me. It was probably the most elemental thing. And it's this little tritone shape that's at the center of the C dominant chord. Okay, so there's the root, and here's our flat 7, and these two notes, okay, they're called a tritone, right? If we took the octave between B flat and this B flat, the halfway point is going to be this note. Okay, that's literally the one halfway up, okay? So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, right? There it is, right? So it's right in there and it causes a lot of tension, all right? And then what we do is we take this little shape and we can just bring it back. So let's just do that, all right? This happens all the time. Now, granted, it's tense. All right. You can smooth it out by playing the root. We get some nice voice leading in there. Okay, really helpful to understand where you want to land, because all you need to do over the C chord is riff out. All right? And if you, by the way, if you don't know where you want to land, stop playing on the 4 chord. Don't play over it, just stop. It's pretty good. Okay, lots of good fun stuff if you even just stop and then you figure it out. Yeah, okay, I remember I got to come up and grab that F. The C is okay, but I mean, it won't give you the sensation of actually making any changes, right? You won't really feel like you're changing what you were playing. So, you know, this is the effect of that, right? That's a lot different than... All right, or... Okay, so lots of fun things to do, but you just got to know what you're up to. Now, that's just learning it out of here, this little area. Same exact notes are everywhere on the guitar. It's not like there's new notes. They're the same notes, just in different octaves. And there's certain shapes that are partial to certain tricks, right? It's impossible to expect each area of the guitar to be reproduced exactly because there's tuning anomalies, there's string tension, there's the string being thinner or thicker there. Well, there's also just the tonal ramifications of where you are on the instrument. Playing down here, a lot different than going, all right? And even more so than up an octave. And that's one of my favorite little licks there. You'll hear it in the loop itself. There it is. All right, that's the flat. That's the flat third being preceded by the sixth. This natural. Right, but I'm putting some upward tension into that third. All right, we're kind of used to hearing flat 7 followed by the flat 3 going upward. Right, that would be the. But if you can grab the 6, all right, because you're over the 4 chord, it starts to sound a little bit more inside, and it's a nice variation, okay? And it certainly sounds a little different, a little sweeter and funkier, a little bit more uptown, in my opinion, right? So those are really the key tricks. The rest of it is kind of figuring out how to play into the changes, and that I can't really help you out too much with other than telling you, you know, spend a lot of time doing it and practice taking the ideas that you already have. All right, that's all over the C. And now we got to think about if we're going to come up to or right, so that would have been the root, the third, or the flat 7. Right? Root, the third, all right, now, yeah, I'm having a ball doing this because I mean, I want to tell you I've probably spent, I don't know, 50, maybe 60 evenings of my life, each being maybe 3 or 4 hours of dedication. So probably all over, you know, maybe 240 hours just playing stupid shit like this over the course of the 40 years I've been playing guitar. It took a while, but most of that was just because it was fun, to be honest. And, you know, you don't have to do stuff that's as athletic or as acrobatic as what I was up to. You can just find a nice little groove. Like if we just kind of find this, we're going to do this little flat 5 approach tone. And just kind of get that groove in like that. 1, 2, 3. Right? Do it again. Now it's just, cool thing is that note C is in both chords. Shake your money maker. Bring it down to that A. You could really, hopefully, amuse yourself down there for a little while until you really understand how this kind of thing works. Because if you can't do something this simple and make it work, there's going to be hell to pay when you try to blow over more complex things. So I know that most of the time, we're looking at specific songs on this channel. I'll typically like how to up your game on blah, 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 how to play truckin', how to do, whatever it is. Nothing wrong with those kinds of lessons. Those are all really super important things. But the fundamentals of jammy guitar playing, this is like something that you just have to put in you have to put in the time. All right? And by doing this, what you're going to learn to do is kind of manipulate a couple of colors, right? Right now, we've been doing a pretty basic thing where we're kind of shifting around the minor pentatonic sound to accommodate the major third, right? Does everybody kind of see what I'm harping on about, right? We're taking this flat third and bending, bringing it up, right? So bow, 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 to make it resolve, okay? But what happens if we, instead of treating this like a bluesy sound, we take it and make it decidedly more modal, like. And we treat it more like we're playing over a Mixolydian sound over top of the C chord. Right? It's a different kind of sound. It's a little bit, a little. I mean, I don't aesthetically agree with that choice. The other things that we could do is we can think about taking any scale that has the root, the flat 7, the 5, and the 3, and play that over the 1. So we could do. It's not going to sound particularly good, but that's. Right, you can do things like that and get some more outside colors. I don't really see the need to do that, and I don't know anybody who thinks here's a funky ass groove like that and goes, oh, you know what I really hear is some fucking Snake Charmer shit right here. Yeah, it can be done, and occasionally I do it just to freak people out. But by and large, it's verboten. We don't do this sound, okay? Not unless we're getting into some really out to lunch stuff. But that major third and the sus4, you know. Right, we're going to need some of that, maybe, right? That's not such the worst sound. Generally speaking, though, I'm more about mixing my minor and major pentatonics, okay? Mostly the minor stuff. I'm mainly thinking, so minor pentatonic flat 5, and then occasionally adding a little major third in there to round it out and make it a little sweeter. But occasionally, you know, you might want to hear. Okay, so that sounds a little bit more bright and upbeat, but I probably would only use that occasionally if I was going for a little bit more of like May or B.B. King kind of thing, or a little bit of the Jerry flavor that I love. But again, that isn't really where this is at. And the point is not to do everything all at once. The point is to figure out what the best strategy is. So, I mean, I'll put it out there. I think the best is that kind of slightly sassy, country fried kind of sassy, but not too angry. I don't want it to be too mean. But it can work. I just am not. I don't have a lot of. Well, I definitely have some mean bones in my body, but generally speaking, you know, I don't really look to that. All right. So the main thing is that we're basically taking a sound that we all know, and all we're doing is playing over that until we get to the F chord and playing into it. And then once we're on the F chord, right, you can pretty much just go back to playing C minor pentatonic. And the only real change I make there is I would ask that you try taking your B flat and bringing it down to A. So over top of the F chord, instead of hearing, you hear. There's that 6 again. And so what you start to see is that what we're doing is taking this sound. Right, there's the major third and the flat third. Six, 7, flat 3 and 3. Whoa! Okay, now there's a couple of little things that I do like to do over top of that. All right, and one of them is this Jeff Becky thing that I try to teach to anybody who will listen. So if you're in a listening mood, I think this is a good opportunity for you to learn something about how to make the guitar kind of sound like it's talking a little bit. Okay, let's do it over the groove. doing here is what I'm doing here is trying to teach you how to be part of that we. All right, and that's part of the brotherhood of people who can play on a bent string. All right, what we're going to do is take this G string, and we're going to introduce a little bit of tension into it. That's how little. Okay, you can see that we're not making it and leaving it still, and we're not going and making it in tune, but we're going. So it's sour, but it's flat of the third, and it's sharp of the flat third. All right, and we're going to bend it up, and then while it's bending, we're going to then start playing this little line. Okay? So while we're up in the bent sound, we're going to go and allow the string to kind of move around a little bit instead of keeping them flat and stable. Right? Normally we don't put any tension into the string and play on it in various frets, right? But right here you'll see that I'm going to take this, right, this G string here and go. And that gives it that kind of funky Jeff Beck, Jerry Garcia, Clapton kind of. All right. And once you start doing this to the G string, you will of course become the talk of the town. When playing over the changes, I have trouble understanding when to target just chord tones or playing the specific pentatonic scales for each chord. All right, so let's talk about that. Okay, this goes out to Spencer Dunn. Okay, let's say that we have 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and strong weak, strong weak, strong weak, strong weak, strong weak, strong weak, strong weak. We want strong beats to be right. So. So the way that this usually lines up is that the downbeat and the downstroke are aligned, and so the accents are happening mostly on downstrokes, okay? That's not to say we can't find some pepper by utilizing an upstroke accent, right? The upbeats and upstrokes, they sound dynamite, right? They're definitely a part of the picture, right? But generally, we're using the downbeat and the downstroke being aligned to kind of align with where the beat feels heaviest. And so on those moments, that's typically where the musician likes to find resolution, okay? So we have to make a judgment call as to which note we kind of land on the strong beat. Do we land on this? Or not? Right? So if you're just thinking, try singing a line. doing shit like that. You'd be surprised at how fucking helpful it is to try to sing what you're playing. Now, granted, you guys had the misfortune of hearing my shitty voice doing all that. But if I'm thinking that in my head while I'm playing, if I can figure out how to not effectively move my lips while I'm reading, silently, right? I mean, that's usually not a good sign. So, I mean, there are a few players that they vocalize while they play, and it's deemed acceptable. George Benson being chief among them. Keith Jarrett's another, though I personally would like it if he stopped making those noises when he plays. But that's just me being an asshole. He's obviously a fucking jazz legend, so who am I to talk about it? But that's my taste. So look, just try playing and singing a little bit. So if you can figure out where the maybe you make up a little riff and you just start thinking about that. That's about how I would do it, is I would go through and try to sing what's happening there. But, I wouldn't worry about the chord tones so much as long as you're hitting the chord tones of the 4 chord, I would just hit those on the downbeat of the change, and then that's it. You basically... Like, you ever drive through traffic and you see, here comes that light. It's about to turn yellow, and you're like, I don't want to stop and wait. I'm going to speed up just a little bit to get past that, okay? Get past the yellow light and get into the next intersection, past the intersection and into the next block, rather. So that's kind of what we're thinking is, like, we're cruising around on the C, and then we got to get to there by way of tagging one of the notes. That's our obligation. Now, if we were playing a slower groove, let's say we were doing boom, right? We'd have more time to develop, okay? So you do boom, 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 boom. Just thinking a little bit more maybe while you play about like getting to the F chords key notes. Right? Okay, so a lot of this stems from like knowing how to get to those same sounds just right here. All right, so the equivalent of these sounds over the F chord, right? That makes it a lot easier because you just don't have to move around, and you don't ever run the risk of your licks doing this. They don't. I mean, it's kind of fun, but only because it only happens once. But if you're constantly just moving up to the, the equivalent. Not only does that not sound particularly good because of that flat third at the top of over the F chord, that's really not, we're not really looking for that note. We want to have that be. It's not really a hard flat third usually. We're not really looking for that sound. Okay? So, I mean, I wish I could be more direct in terms of giving you tips, but I try to think about strong beats for the big chord tones on the down, like strong beats, like the downbeat of the chord change. That's the biggest target you should have, all right? That should be your prime directive. I don't know, like you should be driving towards that. That's like goal, and you can run around and, feel happy for a second. When you snag the F, the A, or the D sharp over top of the F's downbeat, that's when the music's gonna sound like it went someplace. Pardon my yawning, all right? So, great question, hard to answer other than keep at it, that's really the biggest thing is no quitting allowed, all right? I'm not sure if anybody has any other questions or whatever. It seems like there's 15 people watching me, which is really fun and amazing to think that that's what's taking place here. So if anybody has any questions about this idea, I feel like it's pretty well covered already, but the idea is that, I tend to like to perch out and learn neighborhoods. Like if I was interested in learning around, the sound of, then I would feel obligated to come up here and then. And try to take the same vocabulary that you find, and let's say that there's like this lick. See all those little micro bends? Those all happen very easily right there. It's a lot harder to go. The fingering doesn't really lend itself to that, and you have to jump a lot further when here is right there, right? As opposed to going, what was it? That was boom, boom. So I rarely go over top of C. But over here, I'll do that all the time. Okay. Okay, so try using the same ideas in different places, and then rather than getting hung up on making it exactly the same, take advantage of what's natural to the guitar's idiosyncratic setup, right? If we're over here, look at this, all right? We've got this little anomaly that happens. Everything right there in this one little spot, right? So you've got the flat 5, like. start to appear and you're like, oh, wow. There's the third of the F chord that we're playing into. So now all of my licks, right, they kind of change around by the virtue of the neighborhood on the guitar, right? Because the relationship between the notes is completely and radically different right here than it is right in here. But the mission statement of get to the third on the downbeat of the F chords has stayed the same. So we do this in different and novel ways, and so pretty soon you start to realize what the virtues of attacking this situation from here versus here versus here. So when I'm playing here, it's different than if I go or right, so depending on which little area you're in, you're going to be able to take advantage of certain structural anomalies that happen, not only because the frets are getting smaller, so you can reach bigger expansions here. You get different tones depending on which area of the neck you're in. And we have tuning inconsistency. So unlike a keyboard, which has the exact same relationship of everything that we do in one octave can be done in another octave, right? It's not like the keys get closer together as you go further up the fingerboard, unlike here. So your range on the instrument gets bigger and you can have wider intervallic structures the further up you come, right? But, you kind of also have to be able to see bigger. You have to be able to zoom out a little bit when you play out up here. Here you're kind of zoomed in. You're seeing the frets are quite big, so you've got lots of room to get at the intervals and stuff like that, and they're usually closer. But when we're up here, we have that. And then in addition to that, we have an inconsistent tuning mechanism here. We've got, tuned. These are fourths, and then all of a sudden we get to thirds. All right, so it's a real bitch to learn, but there are elements about it that if you kind of turn it on if you turn it upside down, you can end up finding real innovation available to you. Now, somebody's asking here, is there any reason I lay off the pinky? I go back and forth between this. I have developed strength. I use my pinky when I need to use my pinky. And it's not that it's not often. I think the pinky has I think I use the pinky for what it does best. All right. About 10 years ago, I made the decision to stop using 4 fingers per fret, like this kind of I own this. And I started thinking I own this. I started thinking I'm entitled to a lot more of this fucking thing than just that. So I started thinking the index finger should be able to do, kind of reach back, and then also be able to go and come up. So the index finger should be able to handle roughly 3 frets of coverage, and the middle finger should start thinking about its responsibilities, both in just 1 fret up, but also being able to expand its range to be here. All right, I remember watching Gary Moore play, and I noticed that now this is still difficult. This doesn't feel great. It kind of feels like somebody's got, that awful torture device, it's like a leg spreader for gymnasts and stuff like that. This kind of getting this to happen. But when you think about it, now you've got other fingers available to have in other positions when you're doing that. So basically, by kind of kicking the responsibilities outward, it leaves the pinky he's not in such demand, and that's kind of good because you're asking your weakest, dumbest finger to do things that this guy could actually do, and he's bigger, stronger, smarter, and just generally has more support and functions anatomically better with this finger than these two do together. And this is a little bit of physiology here. But one of the things I've been told, and because I'm not a medical doctor, I can't vouch for this, but I've had doctors tell me, yes, that's correct, is that the index finger has its own tendon that reaches back to, you know, the muscles or the nerves that tell it to move from the brain. And the middle finger does too. But these two fingers, when we track back its tendon, it's shared. So there's like inherently crosstalk between these two. There's like a push and pull about who gets the tendon. So there's always this kind of traffic jam of information as the nerve impulse comes up here and it kind of goes, and it doesn't know which way to go. All right. So if you're basically just working with these three fingers, and then you use this guy, I call him the special teams. He's like he's used when you think, I'm all out of horsepower. Oh no, I've got this little extra guy. And what does he do best? He reaches up well. All right. He's not so good. I mean, there's no way he's going to keep up with the like that. Yeah, I can do it. But I mean, I'm telling you, I'm tying up every finger on my hand to do that, right? If I do this, I still have a, right? So I could never do that if I went. So I figure, well, if I can do it without the pinky, do it without the pinky, and then keep the pinky in reserve, and that way you have like headroom within your fingering hand. All right, and it's just a calculated thing that I did. Is I thought, you know, this bigger, stronger, better tool for the job, and thus freeing up this guy to do kind of like, this is the little Chinese guy in the Ocean's 11's movie. He can jump up and get into tight corners and spaces. Really handy. That's the grease man. All right, this guy the pinky can do things that, you know, these chubbier fingers can't do, especially up top. So I'll reserve him for, like, if I'm making, let's see, I'm that kind of thing, or so I'll use him for those kinds of things more. And he's not incapable of being dexterous. It's just he's not very powerful to me. All right, so then, so this is back from you. Yeah, but then you don't really land on top of the note then. I don't quite understand what you mean by that. Do the stretches... Oh, you mean, okay, so you're saying if I'm using the fingers like this, and because I'm effectively, therefore, having to come in on a diagonal rather than on top like that? I personally think there's nothing gained from, I don't think there's any... Let's put it this way. It didn't seem to stop Eddie Van Halen, and it didn't seem to stop Gary Moore. You know, so the stretches don't take down... Do I think that tonal stretches take down tonal purity? Absolutely not. I've never found that to be the case. Do you feel like when you hear me play, do you feel like my tone is lacking in whatever purity means? Like no, you know. I don't actually play with low action, by the way. I play with pretty medium action or even high action. My guitar tech sets everything up, and then I immediately bring it home. We have an ongoing joke. He's like, look, my job is to get it to play buzz free as low as possible, and then you can go home and you know how to raise the action up. All right, and so we do that. We play this little game, he and I. He views it as his obligation to do the best. If you play with low action guitar, I guess it works, but I don't play with low action guitar. If you train that enough, you will not have strength issues with the pinky. I don't have strength. My pinky is rock solid. It's super strong. It's just, it's not as strong. It can never be as strong as the ring finger. And like I said, the reality is if I'm using my pinky, right, that means I'm not using this most of the time, because I'm not going to do this and have an extra finger in between here. So I don't want to do this if I can avoid it, because that introduces that weird crosstalk between the pinky and the ring finger sharing a tendon. All right, so just from an ergonomics perspective, I'm asking physiologically less of my body if I do this than this. 1, 2, 4, much better and faster than 1, 3, 4. This is the hardest thing to do, is to toggle back and forth between the pinky and the ring. All right? So why would I bend with the pinky? LOL, that's a bad example. Well, I mean, I bend with the pinky all the time, and I don't really have a problem with it. Like, I'll bend like all the time. I have no issues with my pinky. It's just I have kind of realized that what I think it's best for. My idea is more for a tonal approach and actually playing more restrictive and is more beneficial towards certain styles. I don't quite understand what that means, but yes, and well, it's because you have low action. Again, with the assertion that I have low action. I don't. But playing a setup like Jerry's with high action and very clean, no, well, my tone is dirt. Well, I mean, in this instance, my tone is distorted, but I mean, Garcia used distortion all the time. But no, I mean, I don't know. Go back to the last episode I did on the Shining Star. You know, Shining Star, I was playing with beautiful, crystal clear sound. So it's there. I mean, I appreciate the lively debate. It's not necessarily, I don't expect you to change me, and nor do I expect me to change you. I made a decision, and I have not looked back. I feel like I've made the right call for me. In terms of whenever I play like this, my hand fatigues faster in this area than it does if I'm playing like that, and I get less reach. So it's like I have greater stamina, more range on the instrument, and so I don't at no tonal cost. All right. So generally speaking, we don't play a C chord like this straight on. We angle it and kind of do that. So when I come up the neck, I'm thinking. So my hand is usually kind of more flattened out rather than like that. It's more like that. Okay. Now, yes, the thumb positioning needs to be kind of reconsidered sometimes, in that my thumb is still flat in the back of the neck, but it does creep out a little bit, but it doesn't feel weird to me at all. All right, but yeah, I was a good little boy for a long time and played like this. And yes, there's some things that only can be done like that for me, because I don't have a low action. Doing little fast little hammer-ons and pull-offs and stuff like that sometimes, or the legato playing is easier when you're right on top of it, and so you need a little less, but like this flatter part of your finger tends to be a little softer sounding and incapable of doing pull-offs than like right on the point. But I'd love to see what you're talking about with your approach and your technique. If you have a channel, I would love to go check out your playing or hear your band or whatever like that. I'm not an old dog. I kind of feel like I'm always open-minded. I'd be happy to if somebody could point me at something that proved otherwise. It's just that when I made the choice to do that, I immediately saw real growth and new sounds coming out of my hands that I hadn't had before. I'm just trying to find out the different reasons certain players choose to. Oh yeah, exactly. Yeah. So okay. So that's great. So this is just you trying to figure out and like ask why somebody does that. Well, those are my reasons, and generally speaking, that's where I'm at. Bridge pickup. I mean, that's what happens when you use super distortions in full power mode in the bridge pickup. It's pretty obvious. All right, but this is a little bit of overdrive. That sounds like a pushed speaker to me. All right, well, let's see if anybody's got anything else to say or do, but I appreciate you getting involved here. Like modal playing and, oh, modal playing, okay. So it says here, like sometimes I think it was tonal and approach, as in limitations. No, and I trying to use less of my pinky in certain scenarios. At this point, I think, maybe you don't want to intellectualize it so much. Just give it a whirl, see if it works, and if it doesn't, you just kind of stick with what's been working for you. Like modal playing and sequence playing, I can see pinky benefit, but playing more lick and language playing, I can see 3 being better. No, that's fine. It says, sorry for yapping here. Thanks for everything. No, of course. You don't have to apologize for. It's not like I come here to not be questioned. That's stupid. That's not what I'm about at all as a human being. I think there's only benefit comes from being asked to stand and deliver and not defend, but I don't feel like I'm being attacked. So, I think it makes sense to utilize your pinky as often as it benefits you. And then past a certain point, I started to realize, I was thinking, I was kind of trapped inside of one way of looking at the guitar. And so I started opening up to some different thoughts and different approaches. And I realized that, my heroes like Eddie Van Halen and Django Reinhardt and Jerry Garcia all did different things with their hands, so there was nothing really stopping me from, approaching it like from another perspective. And then I saw how fast and how beautiful Gary Moore's playing has been, and even though I don't really listen to any Gary Moore guitar, it is something that you can't help but see and go, Jesus Christ, the man is just burning and filled with, he was a very passionate player. So it's not like he was just a technician. He was kind of raw and at the same time had blazing speed and power. So yeah, it's like a great mix. So not a bad thing to, I don't necessarily divorce his sound and everything like that from his gear. I mean, he had wound up Marshalls and Les Pauls and Soldano and stuff like that, like high-powered gaining amps. So that might not be the sound you're after chasing. But, the elements of the Garcia sound that I feel like are easily reproduced with 3 fingers and arguably with greater accuracy than there's a couple of them that I definitely require the pinky for. The 4-note peel. That's kind of a must. So, but that's about it. Those kinds of things. So I'm using my pinky all the time. It's just more of a specialty tool, I guess, A left-hand monkey wrench, to quote Bobby. Anyway, anything else, guys? Oh, yeah, hey, Soundgarden there you go. Old school, baby. God damn, this guitar is heavy, though. Oh, it's upside down now. Come on, gyroscope. There you go. It's got like a little inside. It's got a little weight inside that says, I'm upside down now. Yeah, some other comments there. Nice, I like that. Thanks. I'm not sure what that is in reference to, but LOL, that's cool too. I'm glad you're laughing on your end, buddy. All right, so I guess that's about it. I mean, we're at an hour and change here. So look, pretty simple idea. It's basically figure out your minor pentatonic stuff, add the major third and the flat 5. All right, and then when the time comes to go to the 4 chord, all right, at that point, change and turn into what's going to ultimately look like C Dorian. All right, but we want to resolve to either the 4, the 6. This is all relative to the C chord, right? The 4, the 6, the minor 3, right? Those, maybe the root. Okay, and if you can do that, then you're in good shape. You know, it's a pretty good sound there for sure. Now this is dirty for sure. Let's add some echo. Yep.